Greetings and salutations everyone, I'm Mac. This is LCB Regular Checkup. I actually made a slight mistake about this. Or rather, there's a point that I meant to cover, but I didn't think of it and I needed to be reminded by Reddit. He has a very different sanity mechanic. Increases after losing a clash based on clash count. Increases by 5 after this unit defeats an enemy regardless of their level. Not from allies. But his sanity decreases after winning a clash. So it could actually be quite dangerous to use him with ego. It might trigger a corrosion if he's using a particularly nasty one. But then the reason you're using ego is because you're trying to win a clash you have no right to, so it's all one big mess. Incidentally, for the forced sanity, increases after winning a clash, increases by 10 if we defeat an enemy, and increases by 5 after an ally defeats an enemy, regardless of level. Decrease after losing a clash. So there's mess out there. But anyway, the things we're actually looking for is story. Okay, it's just going to be some Peccatula, so not so bad. I have my story team. I've changed out Utis for the Wuthering Heights butler.
불청객을 맞이할 시간인가 보군요.
We only have one wrath, huh? There, that'll do it. Whistles isn't easy to trigger, but it can happen. Oh, it's you from the trailer. Riveting conversation, guys. Riveting conversation. Right, are we waiting for something to happen, or are we suddenly unfamiliar with the concept of introducing ourselves? Given that no one appears to be willing to introduce me, allow me the liberty of self-introduction. My name is Hohenheim, the chief researcher of this company. To be precise, he's the chief researcher of the LCE department. To be more precise, I am the chief responsible for the entirety of Limbus Company. Wait, show me that again. He's the chief researcher of the LCE department. The chief researcher responsible for all of Limbus Company, huh? I guess you're in charge of more than you research everything, but I don't think... Maybe not you're running the whole thing. Also, I like your shock centipede ego. AEDD. To be even more precise, the only reason he retains that role is because Yi Seng and I have been excluded from research personnel files due to our statuses as sinners. Someone must stay behind to continue the research, after all. Ah, so you two are friends! While it seems entirely unnecessary to establish a label in this relationship, it could be said that we are acquaintances who routinely and unwillingly maintain a regular level of communication with one another. I'm in agreement. For the first time since we were acquainted. I hear that our department has reached out several times to yours to remind you of this regular checkup. The nature of LCB department necessitates that we are constantly on the move from one nest to another, which makes it rather difficult for us to give you an immediate reply. I would have expected someone like you to already be well aware of this obvious detail. Yeah, definitely not friends. It's the sort of bitter co-workers relationship. Yes, I was very well aware. I am also quite aware of the fact that your department has been giving us that same reply over and over again, like an answering machine. I wonder if we'll get an ID that uses his ego. I mean, we already have his ego on Gregor and Heathcliff, but it might be interesting. Ooh, if they are doing hard mode reruns of everything, maybe that's what we'll get from him. From the rerun for this, we'll get an identity using his ego. But, who would it actually go to? The two smart sinners are Forced and Yiseng, and they already have LCE identities. Don Quixote? Actually, given his look, I could believe it being a Gregor identity. And this must be Dante, the executive manager of Limbus Company Sinners. I'd like to say hi, nice to meet you, but I don't suppose you can hear what I'm saying. The manager extends their greetings. Charmed. It's a grueling and arduous work being in a position of leadership, especially when communication issues come into play. Sometimes I cannot help but wonder if my researchers and I are even speaking the same language, so I do commiserate. How odd. Their clothes are... What our new identities are based off, clearly. Yeah. Allow me to introduce you all to Martin and Alyssa, two of the few researchers directly in my command. Are they wearing gear extracted from abnormalities? But how? Happy to have someone who recognizes them. Are they like gears scavenged from the former L-Core? While there are partial similarities to their gears, enough differences are present to distinguish them. Indeed, we attempted our own brand of extractions. Successfully, I might add. While the news of the production of Ego Gear in Limbus Company's style was already received, this is the very first time they are observed in person. So, you must have abnormalities contained in this facility. So that's why I've been sensing abnormalities in here, huh? But I'm sensing distortions in Peccatula too. Indeed, as they are containment and research subjects for the LCE department as well. Forced closely observed the Ego Gear Hohenheim was wearing with like an exceptionally harsh judge in a fashion contest. Apart from a few imperfections in the finish, the level of ego extraction visible here is quite acceptable. You're just looking for all the excuses to snipe at each other, aren't you? Input appreciated. This is why this started off with him sending them off on their own to get their butts kicked by Envy Peccatula. This is a product of thousands of repeated experiments and subsequent failures that have been meticulously conducted and studied in order to extract it with an acceptable level of stability. But at the end of the day, I did it. Like I always do. You did it? Are you sure you want to take all the credit when your team is standing right behind you? We're used to it. I've gone mad surrounded by these self-absorbed twats. Just about ready to get violent on some poor bastard. Let's go on with the checkup so we can get back to the bus, yeah? I feel the very same urgency you express. There is much we must cover, regrettably, given that this is the first ever regular checkup performed as a group since your employment. Forced also does not wish to pass more time without substance. Let us begin. Very well. Our first task shall be to assess your abilities in response to emergency situations. Wait, he just pressed something. Emergency situations? The walls of the laboratory suddenly started separating and sliding into place. When it settled, I realized they had locked the sinners away in some kind of hold, isolating them from me, Virgilius, and Charon. What the hell? This is just an ambush! Yeah, it is. The purpose of this test is to measure your behaviors in response, in case of a surprise attack, so ambush it is. Was this discussed beforehand, Virgilius? You look anxious, Dante. Well, I suppose you weren't let in on this either. I wasn't, for your information. Just go with our flow, Dante. So it goes would be an apt response. I'll find a room somewhere where Charon and I might sit down and enjoy some nice tea. Come find me with Force once this is over. Sharon wants cake too. Hey, we got some leftover cake from our last office party. Come this way, please. An employee appeared and led Virgilius and Sharon away into a nearby office room. Okay, so this is the regular checkup, huh? Let's get this done. The purpose of this evaluation is to measure your combat capacity in case the manager has been separated, etc, etc. He spoke too fast, I couldn't finish it. Okay, you have a counter. I wonder if my clashable counter would hit his clashable counter. Either way, let's just go for an evade there.
긴장하셨나요? 그럴 땐 크게 심호흡을 하면 도움이 된답니다.
These guys are not Pierce weak and they're not Pride weak. I know that from experience. You have 10 shots, so we just need to keep that in mind. For each resonance, add 25%, so... Well, 75% isn't bad.
이 작살엔 필살의 집념이 담겨있지.
Generous. Oh, that's unfortunate. So yeah, it's blunt that they're weak to, so... Do I want to just go for an anti-alias shot right before we need it? Not particularly, so let's just go like that. $18 to 78. Okay, the two of them can one-shot that guy, so...
타겟 포착. 한시 방향.
엎드리도록. 선원들, 나를 보호해라.
Concentration Sniper. Maximum 4 stacks, keep gaining stacks. 6 ammo. I feel like I'm safe with having Ishmael take a hit from that yet. 2 to 4 is fine. Actually, wait, you're awfully close to 10 to 25. I don't trust a 10 SP for that, so we'll go as is.
정화. 기세가 수그러지는
I should have made the gamble.
기회다. 선원들, 나를 보호해라.
Okay, I know that we have Pride and we have Pierce weaknesses, but they aren't on the same things, so Heathcliff should... Heathcliff can't actually intercept with a shot. In that case, next turn definitely. If memory serves, yeah, we should probably focus on the Gloom Peccatula in the back, because they're the ones that usually, they have much higher speed ranges, so they're a lot more obnoxious.
반격의 기회다.
움직임이 어설퍼요. 완성되었나?
선원들, 나를 보호해라.
Okay, now we have a good resonance.
정화.
한 점만 노린다. 깔끔한 헤드샷. 머리통에 작살났다고.
기세가 수그러져 잘했군. 한 놈도 남지 않을 때까지 지금을 반복한다. 쉴 새는 없다.
Heathcliff is almost out of bullet though.
사격 개시.
꿰뚫려라.
그 삶의 마침표를.
사격 개시.
움직임이 어려운 목표로.
흙에서 흙으로.
완성되었나?
Does not seem the Sinners would be capable of defeating Peccatula without the command of a manager. Wait, did we just show him up and I didn't have time to see it because the text went too far? I think that might have been it. I'll have to put up somewhere what the actual completion text is. We went through various tests, including command abilities using Peccatula Invidiae. Ha, Manager, Esquire! Hi-ho! I have obtained a score most perfect! To be surpassed by Miss Don Quixote in a contest of knowledge. Must I delve further in my studies? Hey, saying, Bud. They were testing our fixed association knowledge, huh? Totally, honey. Honestly, she's got more than enough fixation for the entire bus. All kinds of general knowledge, trivia quizzes. What's the first thing you focus on when meeting a new person? The look in their eyes? How strong they look? Bloody hell, this ain't easy. Your leadership style is... I like Alyssa the best. Even with... I think because of grit on... Yeah, my computer monitor is slightly gritty and unfortunately there's a tiny bit right where her mouth is that makes it look like she's in a permanent pouty face. Your leadership style is strong, decisive, and goal-oriented. You are Mersault? We were finally allowed a quick break after going through all kinds of mysterious, strange personality tests as well. Next, basic fitness test for all sinners. We can finally get started on the real meat of this checkup. Wait, then what were all those tests you guys were running on us? They were conducted in order to collect various data that the LCE department has been missing. In other words, we capitalized on this opportunity to fill our private curiosities. Oh, actually, he has a tree part of that suit, and that's where the Lantern Fairy is. Still, I'd say it was a very productive. We now know a lot about you guys that'll help us support the LCB going forward. Alright, we're gonna go over some tests that can be conducted in groups first. Please form a line here. Like this. Let's get this over with. Looks like we've got a long day ahead of us. Wow, these are some comfy clothes they've given us. Right, I could totally see myself wearing these to sleep. To sleep? They're LCE property. You better return them as soon as we're done here. Gotcha. By the way, can you take a look at my wrist here before we actually get started? I've been feeling a bit of soreness there, but Dante won't turn the clock for just me, you know? Turning of the clock for such trivialities may cause the formation of an unfavorable habit. Perhaps Mersault can remedy your pain. I am always prepared to administer necessary aid should you require it. Actually, you know what? I'm totally fine now. Don't you worry. Please stand still. If you think I can't see some of you on your tiptoes, you'd be very wrong. Heels on the ground, please. But my heels are on the ground. Hi. And can you snuff out your cigarettes before the test begins? This one isn't lit. It's just so that I could look cool. And what about bold, but scram? Okay, so the basic group tests are complete. I seem to have forgotten something quite important I had to establish prior to beginning the tests in earnest. I need an assistant. An assistant? I need an assistant to help me smooth out the testing procedures. You got two of them already, right behind you if you need directions. Oh, we're not Mr. Hohenheim's assistants. We're specifically assistant researchers. Yes, of course, there's much that distinguishes these two occupations. I would like for one of you to be my assistant for the duration of this checkup. Rhodia suddenly raised her hand. I wasn't planning on asking for volunteers, but now that you've raised your hand, I'll give you the floor. Don't ask me to do it, it's just not my vibes, you know? I'll take a researcher job though. I'm a big fan of her style. Rhodia trailed off, greedily caressing the clothes of one of the researchers. What? What are you doing? I didn't really have you in mind anyway, but duly noted nonetheless. I would also like to refuse your nomination. The position of an assistant to Hohenheim implies that the said assistant is, when it comes to skill, inferior to the person they are assisting. Again, didn't have you in mind either. My passionate expression of intent is nonetheless appreciated. I wonder who came up with this brilliant idea of putting two smartasses together to waste time pointing out each other's minor mistakes. If I were to talk about myself, I want to open by saying that I was a class vice president in a school, a diligent model student who assiduously facilitated the tasks of class president in... What's with everyone getting so anxious to get picked here? Do you fellas actually want to be his assistant? Getting in the front and center of things is just bothersome, you know? I kind of felt like I had to apply for the position for some reason. Well, the decision has already been made. Do note that the selection criteria is fully based on my very subjective opinion. You there, orange-eyed sinner. Ishmael almost threw me to the ground as she confidently strode up to the front of the line. Ow. Greetings, Mr. Hohenheim. As you must be aware if you've taken a look at my documents, I've rarely let anyone down during my various tenures at offices and associations. You have nothing to worry about as long as I'm by your side. Also, can I add this experience to my resume if I ever get a chance to submit a transfer request to work at the headquarters? Didn't know you were still holding on to that hope. I called on you to ask you to move because you were standing in front of the sinner I chose. Oops. Everyone turned around to look at Heathcliff, who was absent-mindedly scratching at the bridge of his nose. Huh? Me? Me? It seemed that Ishmael was even more shocked than Heathcliff was. Wait, but... why? I'm right here. Why would you pick someone like... It's a common misconception among many researchers to assume that the higher the level of education and the more elaborate the resume, the better the candidate one makes for a research project participant. But that's just common sense, isn't it? At least when it comes to research. However, were you aware that most great discoveries are made from a potent mix of spontaneity and intuition? A perfect descriptor for our friend here, I would say. What say you, Heathcliff? I believe that this aggressive and passionate approach of yours gives you more than sufficient qualification to command and lead them in my stead. Is that right? He replied, scratching his head. I can't help but feel like this might be sabotage, but Be honest now, Yi Sing. Yeah, we're kind of looking forward to getting picked, weren't you? It is but fate that things were once good in the eyes of the mainstream are to be made less desirable with the passage of time. And when one does indeed fall out of favour, the intelligentsia of the bygone days must rightly excuse themselves to a realm of memories and past. I think that's a yes. Yi Sing replied with a particularly downcast look. I'm glad to have you on board as my new assistant. Rightio, so, what have I got to do now? Nothing too complicated. You only need to liberally express your fiery spirit, just as you are now. Ah, now I see what he's doing. Hohenheim sure knows which one of the group to coax to make things go over smoothly. Martin whispered quietly at me in a voice only I could hear. In dungeons, you can heal and save your progress at checkpoints.
화력으로 우리 사무소를 막을 수 있을 줄 알았냐? 저놈들 무기까지 줘서 철수하자고.
I actually thought that he was going to pick Dante as a way to keep Dante from actually helping. But no, I guess not. Anyway, next time on Limbus Company, the LCB checkup, more story. Until then, guys, take care. I'll see you all around. Unfortunately it's summer, so we're going to have random cut-ins from chirping insects. Sorry about that. Noise reduction doesn't always catch it.